afternoon, good evening, good night, good night. Welcome to the Heart of Christ Ministry. I get so turned around sometimes because hold on, let me check something. Okay, we're set. We had to check those levels. Always got to do that. But it's so funny because I get turned around sometimes because I do a podcast and I'll be like, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night. Welcome to the Money Cure. And as you can see up at the top of the icon right there, it's the Money Cure. And so I get such into that habit that I want to say, hey, welcome to the Money Cure. But this is actually Heart of Christ Ministry. Yes, Heart of Christ Ministry, back in action, incorporated. Hope you guys are feeling well. We're going to talk about some money today because I realized I hadn't talked that much about it. And what better time to do it than the holidays and going into the new year. So we got some amazing tips prepared for you. This video will be available forever after this, so you can come back and look at this when you get an opportunity. But we're really going to give you some insight as it relates to the idea of money from the perspective of yours truly, Reverend Shaun Robert Graham. So with that being said, let's get to a few things here real quick. Guys, if you have any feedback, any correspondence, any comments, anything you'd like to see happen on this show, or if you just want to just tell us thanks, whatever it is, write to us, ShaunG04@gmail.com. We will get back to you as soon as we possibly can. Other than that, anything else, anything you want to talk about, please write to us. If you feel like this ministry has benefited you in a number of wonderful ways now and in the past, please feel free to donate to us at Venmo at Heart of Christ Ministry, PayPal, ShaunG04@gmail.com. Zelle is ShaunG04@gmail.com. And we can figure out anything else if you decide that you want to donate and sow a seed today. And the reality is only sow these seeds as it relates to coming from a place of love, right? Because other than that, it doesn't matter. Like you got to come from a place of love when you're deciding to give. And if you do decide to give, one thing I'm happy about now is reestablishing the Endless Prosperity Pack. And the Endless Prosperity Pack being 5 hand-selected videos. And you know what? I may throw in my book right there, The Money Cure, possibly. Maybe. You know what? I may give you a digital copy of that. Let's make it happen. So you're going to get 5 amazing videos, and then you will get a digital copy of The Money Cure. How amazing is that, right? All with any size gift that you decide to donate to Heart of Christ, all right? And with that being said, let's get right into our show. We got a lot to cover today. Heart of Christ Ministry Special 2022. It is 6 divine concepts to master the energy of money. Got to get a sip of water on that, let me tell you real quick. Okay. So if I'm coming up a little grainy, it's because it's getting dark here in Florida. So I'm going to lean in as much as I can so you can see me. I also want to make sure I'm talking into this mic. Got the new upgrade, and it's fabulous. I love it. Been using it on my podcast. Absolutely love it. So let's talk a bit about this, right? The energy of money. And the thing that makes me so passionate about money is that the idea of it has been misconstrued on so many different levels through adolescence, teenage years, young adult years, even into old age, right? You come across individuals that still don't understand it from the level of energy that, metaphysics talks about in anything esoteric or mystical or spiritual in that regard. And the reason why it's so important to get to the divine aspect of what money means is because you want it to be something in your life that you don't have to worry about, that you don't have to be concerned about, that you don't have to continually look over your shoulders or be nervous to look into your accounts or wonder about how did I get here or how did I get there? Wasn't this happening? There's an entire energy around this whole thing we call money. And the key word there is energy. Okay. So I got 6 divine concepts to master the energy of money right here, December 21st, 2022. Let's go. Number 1, God is in you. God is in you. God is in you. God is in you. God is money in action and money in full expression. So you notice I reiterated, God is in you. We can even go as far as saying God is you. Why? Because you are made in the image and likeness of the benevolent, wonderful, divine essence of being. And yes, it is you. Not only just in you, but it is you. And when you realize that, you realize that God is everything. If God is everything, that means I and you are everything. And that means money included, right? And the one of the things you know about God, we even talked about it yesterday, is God is always in activity. The universe is always in flux. The universe is always in expression, right? So when we understand that money is just that, and it needs to be in action, it needs to express itself, it needs to be flowing, it needs to be circulating. You're going to see, we're going to talk about here a little bit later. That is the activity of how money works, right? You cannot ever get ahead by hoarding. You cannot ever get ahead by being afraid to be a giver or being just completely attached to the money that is in your possession. Because what's going to happen is, much like the heart within the body, if money stops to circulate, it's going to dry up. It's going to dry up. And if it dries up, you won't have any of it, right? Because the reality is the outer forms of money, right? The notes in your wallet, the numbers in your account, it's just an expression of your supply, right? Within yourself, right? Those are just outer expressions of the inner supply. So I don't want to get ahead of myself too fast because we're going to talk about this, but just remember, God is in you. God is in you. God is in you. God is you. And God is money in action, and God is money in full expression. And full expression means complete expression, right? If I need to do something, if I need to get something, what happens? I have the money, I have the supply within, right? Which translates itself into money to fully express myself in alignment with the plan that God in me has for myself, right? I want to say that slower because I wanted you to get that because it's so important, right? So we'll kind of circle back to this, but I want you to remember, I'll say it one more time. God is in you. God is money in action. God is money in full expression. And that means a supply to meet every need and desire needed to carry out the divine plan that God has placed inside of you. All right. Number 2. Yeah. Money is the reflection of the infinite supply within oneself. Now, this is one of my favorites because I'm a big fan of Joel Goldsmith. And if you don't know who Joel Goldsmith is, he's one of the amazing New Thought leaders of the 19th century. And I mean, it's amazing the type of wisdom that was dispersed from these individuals as they understood who they were in God and as God. Okay. And so he talked about, and he said something that was so powerful. He said, supply is an inner quality. Okay. Infinite supply is an inner quality. Now, infinite supply is an inner quality. Infinite supply is an inner quality. Infinite supply is an inner quality. Sit on that for just a moment. Okay. Reason I said that 3 different times, because I wanted you to know that the reason why infinite supply is an inner quality is because it has nothing to do with a dollar. It has nothing to do with a bank account. It has nothing to do with a credit card. It has nothing to do with investment. It has nothing to do with the job. It has nothing to do with any of that, right? Inner supply comes from understanding that the energy and essence of God being omnipotent, all present, right? All powerful. It comes from that idea that within myself, as my God self, I am always, always, always infinite and always, always, always gonna have every single thing I need and desire. Why? Because there is no lack or limitation within God. Period. I'll say it again. Supply is an inequality because supply is the idea that God, in all its omnipotence, all its omnipresence, right, it's impossible for the true essence of God, for a God consciousness to experience lack or limitation. And if God is all present, it means God is within us as well as everywhere else. That tells us, right, that there can be no lack within. And if there can be no lack and limitation within, there can only be an infinite supply within ourselves. So imagine what life looks like when we carry out the truth, I'm about to say the idea, but the divine idea and the truth that I always have an infinite supply for everything I need and desire within myself. I always have an infinite supply of everything I need and desire within myself. Guess what? As in thought, so in manifestation, as in consciousness, so in external reality, you're going to live that out. And guess what? It's going to reflect itself as money, right? But it starts out as infinite supply. And that infinite supply is just recognizing the benevolent divine essence, wonderful being that is all powerful, all lavish, all wonderful, all providing God within you, right? It's that simple. It's just a reflection. And it's to know consciously that I have all that I could ever need and desire in an infinite supply within myself. Oh, I'm giving it to you, man. Come on now. I've been sitting on these for a long time. So let's keep going. Whew, got excited there. Okay. Money is the divine activity of God. So when we say the divine activity of God, when we say something is the divine activity of God, okay, what is it? What is it that we are implying? Money is the divine activity of God. Basically, we're implying that the activity possesses the essence of God in its entirety, right? You ever do something that you're led by God to do, that you're led by the divine within to do? Guess what? It always winds up in a blessing. This is telling us that money is something that is completely blessed because it's a divine activity of God, which means whatever you do with your money is a divine activity of God. So guess what? You're supposed to be blessed. Your money's supposed to be blessed when you acknowledge that it's an activity, a divine activity of God. And if you're not acknowledging it, you're probably separated from the God within yourself through your consciousness. So all we need to do is realize we are God and God is us. God is in all is in God, right? And then we understand that everything we do, everything in regards to our energy is carried out as an activity of God. We become a walking, imminent, infinite blessing, right? Why? Because the activity of God is everywhere. It's omnipresent. It's omnipotent. It's all powerful, right? The activity of God is always going to prosper because God can only know prosperity. God can only know expansion. God can only know the higher vibrational essences of life. So when you know that money is a divine activity of God, you get excited about paying your bills. You get excited about donating to Heart of Christ Ministry. Oh, gotcha. You get excited about giving gifts around this time, about taking care of people who need your help, your financial help and stuff like that, right? Because we remember it's a divine activity. So it means that God is always in it, right? Isn't that amazing? That's amazing. Number 4. All right, where am I? Money thrives in divinely guided circulation. So this piggybacks on a divine activity of God, right? What is circulation? We talked about it earlier, right? The heart. If there is no blood circulating to and from the heart, guess what's going to happen? It's going to die and the body will die, right? Circulation is really life force working its way through all the organs, through the bloodstream and everything else. Well, money is the exact same way, right? Money in its essence is energy, is divine energy, love in action, love in expression, God in action, God in expression. So if that energy is not flowing, if that energy is not circulating, the economy acts as the heart, it dies, right? But we all have our own personal economies. So we have to know, we have to be aware to be sure that our money, it's got a text, excuse me. We have to be sure that our money is, sorry guys, give me 1 second. We have to be sure that our money is always circulating. Okay. And what we mean by circulating, always circulating, is you got to give out just as much as you give. There has to be a balance, right? There's no hoarding. Whatever you hoard dies. Whatever you hoard stagnates. Money is no different, right? Money is your own personal energy yield, as John Randolph Price put it. And we have to consistently allow it to go out, and we have to consistently allow it to come in. When I realize that I don't have as much money coming in as I think I should, you know what I do? I go give some, right? I go give some to a ministry or a corporation, not a corporation, but an organization that I love what they stand for, that has helped me. I circulate it, because if I don't, it's going to die, and it'll die in my personal economy, much like the heart will die without the circulation of blood. So it thrives. And as you circulate it, you think about, I recall the seed principle, which means whatever you give as far as monetary goes, and it's from the heart, this is why I always say from the heart, you'll receive 10, 100, sometimes even 1,000-fold. But it's up to you to give and to keep it circulating and not to be tied up, right? Not to be tied up in knots when it comes time for you to pay or give money to somebody else. Like, give it freely, but make sure you keep that it's the balance, right? I used to do, I still do energy work. And I would always ask my body, how does the money of energy move? And it was so funny, because it would be like this, right? And so if you look at that, that's a balance on each side. It's a balance on each side circulating. So that's how you got to keep the circulation of money going in order for it to be thriving within your life. Okay. Number 5, you must convince your subconscious mind that there will always be always be an infinite supply of money. You must convince your subconscious mind that there will always be an infinite supply of money. You must convince your subconscious mind there will always be enough, always be an infinite supply of money. Notice my subconscious mind is convinced that there will always be enough, because I said that 2-3 different times, right? So it's so funny how your subconscious mind, it's automatic in its behavior. So I'm literally watching this thing, reading it, and it keeps saying enough, 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 right? So what does that tell me? That tells me that I'm convinced that there will always be enough, right? And then the universe naturally gives you surplus, right? Because you know that it's enough. But we want to know, we want the subconscious mind to know that there's always an infinite supply. And so how do we do that? Easy. Repetition, right? And if we can't do repetition, we find the most emotionally charged up statement possible to help us really get to that place. We find the most emotionally, like, in a great way, charged up space that will enable us to be completely on point, right? In letting our subconscious mind know that there is an infinite supply of money. So what's another way to do it, right? I remember when I was convincing my own subconscious mind of this, I wrote this down. I want to say probably like 50 to 100 times a day. And then I recited it for 5 minutes on my voice memo and just listened to it a couple times there. And then I spoke it out whenever I was by myself in the car, anything like that. And I did that for a couple weeks. Some people call that the 55 method, where you do all this 55 times or whatever. But anyway, you want to just get it, do it to the point where it says, or it feels like the mind has gotten it. Okay. And once the mind has gotten it, once the subconscious mind has received it, you're going to see it act out in your life. You're going to see it in certain circumstances. It could be like you got a bill coming up, and then all of a sudden an influx of money shows up, and it's just more than enough. It's an infinite supply, right? So pay attention to what's going on in your life when that happens. But once we come to the conviction that there will always be an infinite supply of money within the subconscious mind, guess what? Automatic, right? It's automatic because life operates 95% off of the subconscious mind and only 5% off the logical conscious mind. So no matter what you do, you can't really override this mind. Wherever you are right now, let's say you go to the store and you pay attention to how you react around money, or somebody owes you some money. Pay attention to how you feel in reference to waiting on that. Like, there's so many different things you can see to enable yourself to know where you stand from a subconscious standpoint. Then it allows you to be able to move forward with the idea of convincing yourself that there will always be an infinite supply. And then once you do this, I can tell you from experience, once you do this, you don't even feel concerned or worry about money anymore as you might have in the past. And so that leads me to number 6 here. When it comes to money, bet on yourself, the God within you, and allow it to show up in miraculous ways. All right. When it comes to money, bet on yourself, the God within you, and allow it to show up in miraculous ways. Once again, when it comes to money, bet on yourself, the God within you, and allow it to show up in miraculous ways. And so what does this mean, right? This means we live in an infinite universe. We are made in the image and likeness of an infinitesimal God, right? We are the God self, which means we are brimming with limitlessness, infinitude, all these amazing, just unlimited qualities, right? Bet on yourself. Bet on your divine self. Bet on the God within, and allow it to show up when you do the top 5, when you implement the top 5 steps, right? Number 6 is easy. Number 6 is a piece of cake, right? Because all you got to do is sit back and let it come to you, right? But it's not even a case of the bills, right? It's the feeling of security, of safety, of supply within oneself that you just know it's going to show up. And that, my dears, that is the most powerful place to be, because the individual who's the richest, who's the wealthiest of all, is the one who thinks the least about money. Why? Because the subconscious mind knows that it's always going to be there. If you got to continue to check and check and check, guess what? You got some stuff in your subconscious mind you need to clear out. But if you don't worry about it and you check your accounts every few days, once a week, or whatever it is, you're in a good place. You're convinced. You're betting on yourself, and you're betting on the God within, and you're betting that money's going to show up in miraculous ways. So much so to the point it don't even seem like miracles anymore. It's just money doing its thing, right? And that's where we want you to be at. Whew! Right? Number 6, done deal, guys. That is a great message. Oh, my cat's here. Hold on one second. Come on. All right. Sorry for the interruptions, but here we go. Guys, if you have any feedback about anything today, any questions about today, please write to us at ShaunG04@gmail.com. Thank you in advance so much for your correspondence. If you felt this message benefited you today, please, by all means, donate Venmo, Heart of Christ Ministry, PayPal, ShaunG04 @gmail.com, Zelle, ShaunG04, ShaunG04 @gmail.com. Thank you in advance for that. And when you do decide to donate to us of any size, we're going to give you the Endless Prosperity Pack, 5 hand-picked videos, take you from 0 to 100 as it relates to money, wealth, abundance, and prosperity. And I'm going to give you a digital copy of that book right there, The Money Cure, Healing Your Relationship to Money and Discovering the True Path of Abundance. Why? Because I'm just a nice dude. With any size gift, you're going to get the Endless Prosperity Pack and a digital copy of The Money Cure. With that being said, if I don't see you guys, thank you so much for joining me today. It has been a pleasure as always. Cash flow, baby, is coming to you. Know it, believe it, accept it. That is what counts. We'll talk soon. Take care.
Every dream begins with a vision. A vision that sees everything before anyone else ever can. A vision that ignites